Hello, my name is Ignacio de la Torre. I am the Chief Economist of Arcano Group. I just published research today on the fintech revolution. So the purpose of this video is to let you know in just 5 minutes which are the main findings we find in this report. Paul Volcker, he was the governor of the Fed at the early 80s. He mentioned in the crisis in 2009, the only finance innovation I found useful in my life was the ATM. Was he right? Probably he was right in 2009, but he was wrong on 2018 basis, because a huge revolution has happened in finance and innovation the last 10 years, fintech. Now, what's going on? This research is illustrating on 3 points. First, what has made this revolution possible? Second, how fintech is disrupting the financial sector. And third, which are the implications for the sector as well as for the economy. Now, going into the first point, what has made fintech possible? Now, this is not a one-off. The history of humankind is a history which links innovation and finance. For instance, the oldest writings we have in history are Babylonian records of loans. So we invented writing and we applied this to finance. We introduced Arabic numbers in 1202 by Fibonacci, and this was critical in the finance revolution. It was very difficult to make finance with Roman numbers. And we invented the credit card in the 1950s. So what we are seeing today is this well-established relationship in history between finance and innovation. On the other hand, we have new technologies that allow fintech to happen. Artificial intelligence, which helps in treating data at a massive scale and bringing this to provide financial solutions. Blockchain, which allows payments and transactions to happen at a much faster pace than in the past. We have the use of mobile phones as a physical branch. Today, this is my bank. I can use this to make payments and to have deposits. And of course, the use of internet. And finally, we also have millennials. Millennials trust mobile phone as a way of doing finance. This could be not something to think of 20, 30 years ago. And the addition of the 3 elements explains what makes fintech possible. Going into the second point, what is fintech doing? What fintech in action? On one hand, fintech is entering in the traditional world of retail banking. Retail banking is deposits, loans, as well as payments. Now, on one hand, the fintech is entering into the retail segment in deposits. For instance, Goldman Sachs has launched a bank which is just online and mobile phone based, called Marcos, where Americans and British can deposit their money just clicking an app, and they get an extremely high interest rate for the deposits. This is an example. If you think upon loans, there is this US listed company called the Lending Club, which makes loans to people and to companies just using mobile phones as well, and artificial intelligence. And if you look at payments, for instance, there is this company called Revolut, and they launched these visas. You can get it in your app, Revolut, and when you pay with this visa all around the world, you don't get a 3% commission on the foreign exchange. A good example of how they tackle payments. But this revolution is not only comprising retail banking. If you think, how should I be advising how to invest my money? Traditionally, we rely on humans. But today there is robots advising you on how to invest your money. These are called the robo-advisors. And sometimes robots can do a much better job than humans in advising how to invest without the mistakes we make as humans. For instance, Vanguard already is advising $130 billion using robots. And finally, you can also use fintech to invest. Who do you trust better, a human taking investment decisions or a robot? Probably you need a combination of both, but even very large asset managers such as BlackRock, today almost 15% of their assets are managed by robots. So all to all, what we see in this section is how this revolution is impacting on different fields of finance. Going into the third section, which are the consequences of this financial revolution? On one hand, you see much lower barriers to entry. It was very hard to enter into the banking sphere in the past because of regulation, because of trust in established institutions. This has changed since the crisis. And today there is plenty of new entrants coming into the industry. Ultimately, this should be quite good for the consumers. On the other hand, what you find is a situation in which there is a disintermediation. Banking used to be loans and deposits. This is the origin of banking in the Middle Ages. Today, there is fintechs attacking just loans and fintechs attacking just deposits. So we're going to be entering a new world of finance. And finally, what you see is that banks are not relying passively on this revolution. They are investing a lot of money and putting other human capital to work to make banks extremely innovative so that they can compete with fintechs. And ultimately, this revolution will end up in the benefit of the consumer. So we have seen 3 points. First, what has made fintech possible. Second, how fintech is entering in the finance world. Third, which are the implications. I would like to finish with one idea. In the last 20-30 years, we have seen probably the largest poverty alleviation episode in history. We used to have 2 billion people living in extreme poverty by 1990. Today, only 0.7 billion left. Part of this has been because of financial inclusion. Financial inclusion has been going and banking the unbanked. Still, there is 0.7 billion people living in extreme poverty. All of them do not have a bank account. With the use of fintech and technology, we can speed up the process, and hopefully in a few years, thanks to fintech, we'll be able to eradicate completely poverty out of this world. Thank you.